Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Rotary Club of Gainesville Tuesday meeting at the Cade Museum. Please be sure to silence your cell phones and the music playing in the background. And if you're watching on YouTube, please register your participation by sending an email to info@rotarygainesville.org. Up first, let's welcome Pete Enwall to lead us in song and pledge.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now today's joke requires some thought, so I want you to pay attention. It's a bit on the subtle side. So next week is the 4th of July. Move closer to the mic, okay? There we go. Oh, that's better, all right? It was late November, and it was getting ready to celebrate Thanksgiving, and I had a British friend. And so I asked him, I said, do you all celebrate Thanksgiving in Great Britain? And he looked at me and he said, well, yes, of course we do, but we celebrate it on a different day. I said, oh, really? When do you celebrate it? He said, we celebrate Thanksgiving on the 4th of July. See, there you had to think. We're going to sing My Country 'Tis of Thee. My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. Please join me in pledging allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For our invocation today, Lori Vidal.
Yes, to answer the question, it was my legs that made my wife commit to me. Let us pray together and you will hear some true things now. Let us pray. We find ourselves in the season of the year when life is heating up, temperature-wise, outside, and we're thinking about vacating, to walk on the beach or relax in the mountains, to relax and prepare for the rush of the fall. It's a good time for reflection as we slow down the pace of life and make our transition here today in our Rotary Club as the new leadership steps up. We thank you for a key dynamic in our community that takes a leadership role helping organizations who are seeking to help others in so many various ways. And we do want to claim the possibilities spoken of in Holy Writ, that it is possible to see in our personal and corporate lives levels of success that are immeasurably more than all we can ask or imagine. And we ask for your blessings on those like the Community Foundation of North Central Florida as they administrate and champion the same dynamics we stand for in Rotary. And I pray expectantly in your precious name. Amen.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Lori. We invite our guests and visiting Rotarians to remain standing and introduce yourselves to our club.
Do we have anybody to do it?
Fellow Rotarians, I have as my guest today Jack Hardy. Jack, if you can wave. Jack is with GSE. He's an engineer with us and also is involved in business development. And I've also got, with Scherer Construction, I've got the Director of Marketing, which is Mike Biagini. He's got his hand raised over here. They ran away from me. They got separate tables.
Good morning, Rotarians. My guest today is Leslie Banis, who is the Vice President of Community Engagement at the Community Foundation.
Good afternoon, fellow Root. Man, that sounds kind of weird, huh? My name is Bill Stashevich, and I have two guests. My first guest is Miguel Ferreres. He's from Spain, and 5 years ago, Miguel was here as a Rotary Youth Exchange. He had to leave early due to COVID, so he said he wanted to come back and finish up. Actually, came back to visit, and to his left is who he has visited with, and this is Mr. Jagad. And such a small world. Jagad played soccer with a young man by the name of Sam Papa, who is our guest speaker today. How about that, huh? All right, Miguel and Sam.
My name is Lowell Chesborough. A couple of folks here will recognize it perhaps because I was in this club for about 40 years. I am now a member of the Gilchrist Club. I'll hit 50 years next year. But anyway, I'm here as a guest of Helen Gilstrom, and I thank you for having me here.
Good to see you, Lowell.
Thank you all for joining us for lunch today. And now, please join me in.
I have one more guest, Basil Benjamin, who is everybody's soccer coach. Come on, Basil. You get to be introduced. Yeah. And Basil coached both of these young men soccer, but he also coached both me and Ed's son at Oak Hall. So Basil's been coaching forever. Have a seat.
And now, please join me in welcoming to the podium for his last meeting as our president, Ryan Thompson.
Good afternoon. Welcome, Rotarians and guests. Eric Atria, if you could join me up here. So last week I gave the year in review and was giving kudos to Eric for attending just about every meeting. Lo and behold, he had to miss that one due to a family vacation, but we'll have to forgive him for that. But Eric, I've been so impressed with you as a new member. Your dedication to Rotary and our club and our community, I want to thank you. I had to create a new award to be able to recognize you. So Eric is the new member of the year for the Rotary Club of Gainesville.
Thank you so much. It's so nice of you.
Thank you, Eric. We had our second monthly social. We're going to start calling this the Rotary Happy Hour every third Thursday for an hour from 5:30 to 6:30. We had about 6 or 7 people attend, so a little lower attendance. I think that's reflective of this season. But we had a great time nonetheless. We had some live music at One Love. Greg, of course, knew everybody in the band, and some great conversation and fellowship. So thank you for everybody that attended. And then Saturday, we had a wonderful time at the Santa Fe College Teaching Zoo. We had about 30 Rotarians representing all 4 clubs within the area and about 10 to 12 kids. So there's us learning about the zoo and their future plans. There's my little guy with his binoculars checking out some birds. And yeah, we got to feed some turtles, or tortoises rather. So we had a great time. And of course, the zoo wanted to thank us for our Rotary Reading Safari. And then my last announcement, Rotary Learning Institute. It's going to be hard to change that in my brain. is August 23rd, and that's in Gainesville, and the registration is already open. So August 23rd, RLI is going to be in Gainesville. And now I will introduce today's speaker. Barzella Papa is the current president and CEO of the Community Foundation of North Central Florida, where she has raised more than $100 million in support of a variety of causes. Under her direction, the Community Foundation has launched such successful initiatives as a Women's Giving Circle, the Amazing Give, the Center for Nonprofit Excellence, and Philanthropy Hub. With no further ado, I'd like to invite Barzella Papa to the podium.
I know. I got to turn on, get the technology ready. All right. There we go. Well, thank you so much for having me here today. I get to talk about one of my favorite things to talk about, and that's philanthropy and money. So, quick show of hands here. Who has heard of the transfer of wealth? Yeah, okay. Okay. Some of you have come to our trainings, I believe. So today I want to share with you an incredible opportunity that our community and our region has and share with you more details about this transfer of wealth that we are currently in the midst of. It worked. Yes. When? So the transfer of wealth goes back to 1999 when researchers at Boston College projected that $41 trillion was going to shift from one generation to the next over the course of the next 50 years. So they predicted that this $41 trillion would pass before 2052. Well, they were wrong. They came back in 2014 and updated it to $58 trillion, passing from one generation to the next. And so they coined this phenomenon, the transfer of wealth. So simply put, it's just when money passes on to your heirs. So from one generation to the next. But what this is one of the largest undeveloped community assets that we are sitting on here in Alachua County and throughout our region. So this research really projected that we are about to embark on the dawn of a new golden age of giving. So why is this a big deal? Well, there's a lot of factors going into this. So no generation has ever seen the amount of wealth that is passing right now. 80% of America's wealth is currently held by people over the age of 50. Think about this. The oldest members of the baby boom generation turned 72 in 2019. Well, tax laws also require that when you're over the age of 72, when you're 73, that you have to begin taking your required minimum distributions. So, and you have to pay taxes on those as well. So a lot of factors going into play here. So this transfer is going to shift really the buying power from the older generation to the millennials, which I'm not picking on the millennials, but they do have different spending habits. So this is going to affect across many, many industries. Does anybody remember Blockbuster Video? Yeah, my kids have no idea what that is. CDs? Well, LPs have made a big comeback. That's a whole new phase now, but you know, industries are changing. So there's a lot that we need to prepare for so that some industries won't become obsolete. So Boston College comes out with this in 1999. About 12 years ago, the Community Foundations of Florida, there's 27 of us here in the state of Florida, we came together and said, well, what does it look like for Florida? So we funded a 2-year study that broke down county by county throughout the state of Florida how much wealth is passing. So buckle up. So first we're going to start with our region, the 8-county region here of Alachua, Bradford, Columbia, Hamilton, Lafayette. I'm from Mobile. We sometimes say Lafayette, but I've been here for 25 years. Madison, Sewanee, and Union counties. So we're going to start with the region, then we're going to drill it down. This is the current wealth of the region. Now, this includes debt, homes, bank accounts, closely held family businesses. It does not include anything held in trust. It also, anything that's hard to value. So that it's it's a predictor of a approximation. So it's not exactly spot on. It probably comes a little under. And it also excludes the ultra high net worth families, and that is defined of families with assets of more than 30 million. So you see here across the 8 counties, there is currently $119 billion in wealth. Compared to the state of Florida, 7.3 trillion. So when we funded this, and you're going to see we did it 10 years ago or 12 years ago, and we came back and we did it again. And it's actually mind-boggling, but I geek out on this stuff, this data. So what they did then is they looked at certain demographics in our community, age, wealth, and did a prediction of how much is going to transfer over the next 10 years and to the next 50 years. So let's jump in on that. So what is transferring and when is it transferring? Across our region, over the next 10 years, $16 billion is going to pass from one generation to the next in our 8-county region versus statewide, $884 billion. And as you see, over 50 years, it continues to dramatically increase to $174 billion. We drilled it down for just Alachua County. Again, the same factors are going into play. This is what they could account for. So currently, here in Alachua County, the wealth is $84.6 billion in Alachua County alone. When we did this study 12 years ago, our wealth was at $15.4 billion. So it has more than tripled here in Alachua County in the last 10 to 12 years. Now, let's take a look at what's going to transfer. So back to those demographics that I shared. Over the next 10 years, they predicted that 10 billion will pass from one generation to the next. 10 years ago, it was going to be 3.19 million. And then over 50 years, $115 billion is going to pass to the next generation, right here in our county. So I said at the beginning, I like to talk about philanthropy. And this is an incredible opportunity. So of course, I'm going to give you my perfect world scenario. And if our regions, we're going to go back to that 8-county region, if we could get our neighbors to think about leaving just 5% of their assets to charity at the end of their life, what that could look like. So I'm going to set the stage, right, for the region. 5% going into an endowed fund that we hope is generating about an 8% return, and we're only using 5%. What would that mean? So over the next 10 years, out of that amount that's going, if we captured 5% and put that in an endowed fund and just use a portion of the interest, that would be a $785 million fund, and it would begin generating $43 million, as you see there, if we just do 5% over that 10-year period. For Alachua County, that would generate $10 million a year, just 5%. That's it. So why is this important? Anybody want to take a guess why? I mean, obviously it's an opportunity for us. Well, when wealth passes from one generation to the next, it is a pure driver of philanthropy. People start thinking about their legacies. They establish family foundations. They establish funds. They want to pass on a philanthropic spirit to their children. They want their children to care about the things that they have cared about. So this wealth transfer is a perfect opportunity to think about the causes that you care about. So I mentioned that this all began back in 1999 at Boston College. Nebraska was actually one of the first to go, what does this mean for the state of Nebraska? And so the Nebraska Community Foundation conducted their study back in early 2000s. The state had several rural communities that people were leaving. They were moving to Omaha. They were leaving the state. The rural farms were drying up. The economy was struggling. So I'm going to share the story about Ord, Nebraska, located in Valley County, population 2,200. They were facing many, many challenges: school closures, increase in drug use, declining home values. The residents were leaving. They were leaving for better opportunities. So I mentioned that the Community Foundation conducted that statewide transfer of wealth. And so theirs came back that $600 million was going to transfer through that study. So they began raising awareness. And in 1999, they got their first bequest of $1.2 million. Came from a couple that owned a farm there. They left their farm to the Valley County Community Foundation Fund. They started a little county. As a matter of fact, the Nebraska Community Foundation started more than 100 of these types of funds benefiting the small rural communities around the state. Since then, they have surpassed that 5%, the 5% ask. They have gotten 5 major gifts, including a $1.5 million farm. They were able to take this and create leadership programs to engage the youth, keep them back. They also were able to get what we call patriot wealth, people who had grown up and had left there. Ord, Nebraska had shaped them and their youth, so they wanted to give back to that place. So that is the story of Ord, Nebraska. So what is our goal? Our goal is to start the conversations, because it's important. If you love this community and you love this region. And research has shown that people and their wealth, it mostly goes away over the next generations. By the 4th generation, it's typically gone. This from the Williams Group estimated that 70% of wealthy families will lose their wealth by the 2nd generation, 90% by the 3rd generation, and 100% by the 4th generation. So I mentioned that we did this study 12 years ago and some of the demographics, and I wanted to show you this next graph here, because this is Alachua County, and this was what the graph from 12 years ago. And you see this is by age groups here. I want to look here, not turn. So our over 75 was that top light green line. And you see that this graph, starting left to right, goes from 2010 to 2060. It's the 50-year projection that we were looking at just here for Alachua County. So you see our population is aging. Now, if you take Sarasota, theirs is going to look completely inverted the other way. They have a large green versus our community, which tends to be younger. But we are already in the midst of this wealth transfer here in our county. And the Community Foundation has been committed to this for the last decade, to dream big for our community. In 2012, we started raising the awareness of this. And since that time, we have more than 35 million planned gifts that we have been able to document that's benefiting a wide variety of local organizations. So we are having the conversations. And planned giving's easy. I think there's a flyer on each of your tables. It's very, very easy. Indiana University, that has the School of Philanthropy, they really are the premier institution. They have found that donors that included a charity in their wills gave more than twice as much in annual gifts than donors that do not. And we also, in our conversations, want to think outside of the box. Outside the box. I'm not talking about cash. So this graph actually shows at the top, this is the net worth tier, and how most net worths are what they're comprised of. So you see a net worth of $10,000. The primary residence is the one in orange. Their vehicles in the lighter orange. The darker orange is the primary residence. But you see, as people's net worth increases, very small percentages held in cash. There are opportunities there are in business and closely held assets, such as retirement, insurance. There's many, many ways that we can get creative here. So, as I mentioned, the Community Foundation is committed to this. Why use the Community Foundation? Well, we offer the personalized service. We keep it easy. We're here to help you. We have a lot of experience working with all the nonprofits, not only in Alachua County, but the region and across the nation as well. Flexible convenience. Some people wish to remain anonymous, so we provide that as well, the anonymity. In a nutshell, we make it easy. So I'd like to invite you to visit our website. There's a lot of information there around estate planning and different suggestions and case stories and scenarios that we would be happy to discuss further. And please connect with us. We're here. We're here as a resource. We work with families. We work across generations. So if there is something that you're passionate about and you want to work with your children, we will do that as well and help map your philanthropy. So I want to leave you with this question. What does Alachua County mean to you? I'll let you think about that for a minute. For me, I moved here just over 25 years ago. My husband came with work and I was the trailing spouse. Both of our children were born here. We've raised our family here. So for me, Alachua County is my family's home. So we love this community and want to see it continue to thrive. So again, I invite you to think about, what does this county mean to you? Now, I would do that really fast. So we have time for questions? Okay.
Is it on?
Thank you for being here today. My question relates to the big dream that people in the community may have, and what have you seen as an example of the way you've been able to help the community do something that's really remarkable?
Oh, that's a great question. So when I'll talk about planned gifts for just a moment, because when we first funded the transfer of wealth for the state of Florida here, and we got this information, we had no planned gifts on file at the foundation. And just by going out and raising the awareness, as I mentioned, we have now 35 million that's going to be coming through the community foundation to benefit our community. Now, so that's what we've seen, and we've really seen an uptick too since COVID. Since COVID, we saw a huge uptick of people thinking about what legacy that they want to leave behind. But we, over the past 20 years, have really done a lot of cool things, and it's a pleasure to get to work with people to see things through fruition. Have lots of stories. We could be here all day, but one of my favorites, I'm gonna pick on Patrick in the back, Bread of the Mighty Food Bank, probably 18 years ago, was it?
2007.
2007.
Yeah, 18. Good math.
Good.
Great at math. I mean, that was good.
So I'll use that one for an example. Bread of the Mighty Food Bank, some of you may recall they lost their building. Or they were having to vacate their building, and they were scrambling. They didn't know what they were going to do. A board member went home that night and talked with the family, and the family had land out of state. They had property up in North Carolina that they said, all right, why don't we do this? So they donated the real estate to the community foundation. We liquidated, underwrote the building for where you are now, and we've had a long, prosperous time supporting the Bread of the Mighty. That's just one of many. We also were involved with the Peaceful Paths expansion, the YMCA, that one as well. So very creative. And the other thing I want to stress is, yes, we obviously want our residents to think about this community and do things to benefit and enhance this community, but we can do things across. A few years ago, we had an elderly couple up in Buffalo, New York, that the wife had inherited property right outside of High Springs, and they were never going to travel back here again, and they wanted it out of the estate. So we took it, we sold it, and underwrote scholarships at her alma mater, the college that she had gone to years ago. So yeah, I could do all that. I'll stop with that though. Jacob.
I'm gonna skip.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'll go first, Jacob. Thank you, Barzella, for being here today. And I don't have a question so much as a statement, because I've been the beneficiary so many times of the incredible work that you all do at the Community Foundation. And it would take multiple meetings for them to go through every project, every program that they've supported. I don't think people recognize how many of the things that we see in our community as truly critical have been supported or created by the community foundation. Our nonprofit community, and thus our whole community, is so much stronger because of the work that they do. It's not just managing funds on behalf of donors. They have their finger on the pulse of what is needed, and they're out front and identifying ways to proactively solve problems before they become too great to solve. I cannot tell you, I talk to you all or receive email grant from you all weekly. And I mean, we could not do the work that we do without the team at Community Foundation. And it's a team of 4. I mean, it is, you know, an amazing amount that they do to convene the community, to support the community, and to know where to be putting the funding and the energy is, I mean, it is remarkable what you all do. I'm incredibly grateful, and I think we're all fortunate that you all do that work. So thank you so much, y'all.
Thank you, Patrick.
We have a question from Zoom, Barzella. Sorry about the sound interruption. Kathy Pierce on Zoom asks if you can provide your legal name and info for someone who wants to list you as a beneficiary, and if so, could you put it out, or we could put it out as an email if you want to email it to me or anybody.
Absolutely, we can do that, yes.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, Patrick, you took my speech away. Some of you may think that I'm going to ask question, but I am not going to ask question. But I want to thank you because you're not just only helping Alachua County. You asked, what is it for you in Alachua? Well, I attended this great university, but you guys are helping people like South Sudan. And I want to emphasize, as one of the beneficiaries this year, some of your members, our members here, there was a cholera outbreak. And I don't know if you guys know, but right now funding is very difficult with World Health Organization being cut. Some of our members here, and thank you, were able to give through Community Foundation, wrote a check to our club, and we saved lives in South Sudan. So I just want to say that you're not just only helping Alachua County, you are helping the world. So thank you for that. And I'm so grateful.
I wanted to point out another thing that the Community Foundation does, and that is they provide help for nonprofits in terms of board development, training, helping nonprofits work better. So I wanted to thank you for that.
Barzell, I got a real question. I'm really proud to be associated with you, but my question was about the 5%. Is that an aspirational goal? You think you're going to get close, or give us a little discussion about that 5%?
We think 5% is absolutely doable. What about you? Think we can get 5%? Absolutely. I have big goals. Big goals.
Barzella, thanks for coming again. Thanks for being a member. 2 questions, quick, I think. One is, would you explain what a donor advised fund is? And the other is, if you have an IRA and you're required to take money out of it annually, and so if you make it a charitable contribution, what benefit does that have for you?
Oh, for the donor? Oh, they don't have to pay the tax on it, and they can support their favorite causes. So, so that's the biggest thing. If they, instead of taking that required minimum distribution, they can do a qualified charitable distribution and support the church, their alma maters, their charities. To your first question, a donor advised fund is simply a charitable fund under the umbrella of a community foundation, or also financial institutions offer them. Fidelity, Merrill Lynch, they offer them. They're our competition a little bit. They're not local. But it's a charitable fund that you become the advisor. You donate it, and then you have advisory privileges. So you get the tax benefit because you've given it to the 501c3, but then you serve as an advisor and you say, hey, cut a check to this or to my church or to whatever. And I like to say you can think of us sometimes as that philanthropic back office that we do that processing. So it's very, very similar to a private foundation. It's cheaper, though, much more cost-effective, and it doesn't have that 5% distribution rule that a private foundation does. So a donor-advised fund, a lot more flexible.
Hi, Barzella. Thanks. Yeah, I'm Jeff Montgomery. I had a question about the Women's Giving Circle. When was it established? How many members? What are you doing with the funds?
Oh, great question. Thank you for asking. So the Women's Giving Circle actually started 19 years ago, and they are coming into their 20th year. And the concept behind it, the women on our board of directors back in 2006 came together and said, we want to start this giving circle. They were seeing these pop up across the country. And the idea was just collective giving, right? Let's pool our money together and then we can have a bigger impact. So our goal when we launched was just to get 50 women to join and write a check each for $1,000. That was our goal. And we kicked off in the fall of '06, and in '07 we gave out the first grants. We actually had over 80 women to join the inaugural year. So part of what happens is their contribution is pooled with all of the other women, and then there is a competitive grant-making process. So each woman that contributes gets a vote. And they can be as involved or as uninvolved. They can serve on the grants committee, they can review, or they can just write the check and know that it's going to be put to good use. So since that time, oh, and then also a little portion did go into a permanently endowed fund to support the Giving Circle. So since that time, oh my gosh, over 300, probably close to 400 women now. The Women's Giving Circle has generated more than $2 million in support of programs benefiting women and girls in Alachua County, and has a permanently endowed fund now that's probably $400,000. So the endowed fund, with that now, we take no administration off of their contribution. So their contribution's pulled together and they award them every spring. So the last 2 years, and each year, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. This past year, we had the most donors ever, almost 160, 161, 162. It was a lot. And so the last 2 years, they've been able to give out a $100,000 grant to really help move the needle. So we're super proud of our Women's Giving Circle. And then the Gainesville, Alachua County Area Realtors Association, they started one too, modeled after our Women's Giving Circle. So, and we handle that back office as well.
Mike Conroy, thank you so much for doing what you do. And I'm not sure that I can articulate this clearly enough, but can you aggregate some of these funds in a trust where the annual withdrawals are used to sustain something like capitalized an affordable housing or retirement housing type of thing, where the annual withdrawals can be used to fund maintenance expenses and so forth?
Yes, we could. However, we're seeing some of that at some of the, it's going to sound really weird, some of the older community foundations have more unrestricted. Our foundation was founded in '98, so we just had our 25th. So we are predominantly donor advised, as Pete was asking. So it's our donors that they're all still individual. But eventually, I always tell everybody, the community foundation is going to look completely different 25 years from now. They will have more flexibility to be creative like that.
Barzella, real
Yes.
quickly, as I'm walking up with the mic, I guess that was the last question, other than
One more
my
from
comment.
Zoom.
Oh, you have one online?
Yep.
Okay, I'll go ahead and just finish this thought, is that thank you so much for your time helping the Matheson, you and your organization. When I was involved with that, you guys were invaluable. And you know, there's a lot of, it was excellent work on your part, and I want to thank you. And also your Center for Board Excellence, which I think Scott was referring to as well. It's a great organization, you do a lot for the community, so thank you.
And I'll echo that before I ask the Zoom question about Scott's alluding to the little nonprofits in town, like Helping Hands. Thank you. You guys have helped us over the years, and some of those donor-advised funds do come to us as well. And there's a question on Zoom about RMDs. Can RMDs go to donor advisor funds?
No.
Okay.
I know that that's being discussed right now. Now, we do have there are ways that can go around that, but it cannot go into a donor advised fund. It's a hotly contested topic in DC, along with other things.
Thank you. Any questions?
Barzella, thank you for joining us today. And in honor and recognition of you speaking to us, we're going to make a donation to the Child Center for Early Learning. Thank you very much. Yeah. Well, my fellow Rotarians, we have come to that time of the year where it's time to celebrate this guy and his wonderful year. Looking back on my past years as a Rotarian, the roles in the club that I've had, it's given me a real perspective about the amount of time and dedication required to be the president of this club. We are the largest club in the district. We are the most giving club in this district. We are the only club of our size that doesn't have a paid bookkeeper or a paid executive secretary. And it takes a lot of dedicated people to keep this ship afloat. But Ryan has done an excellent job as the captain, and I can only hope to continue to build on his successful year and look forward to working with everybody. Thank you very much for your great year and your leadership. And with that, the best pin, the past president's pin.
Sure is. JT, it is my pleasure to present you with your new badge for president. I know you're going to have a great year. I just want to thank everybody again for entrusting me with this position. It really has been a wonderful and rewarding year. Thank you very much.
Well, next week we'll have District Governor Dale Moe in town. He'll be doing the inductions for our new board members and officers. And we'll be discussing a little bit more about what's coming in this new Rotary year. Our quote for the week is, "Legacy is not what I did for myself, it's what I'm doing for the next generation." Victor Belfort. And the winner of today's Reading Safari drawing is 503. 503. All right, we are adjourned.